I've owned Garcia's Corner Market for 15 years and I thought I'd seen everything. Shoplifters, scammers, people trying every trick in the book. I had a reputation in the neighborhood, fair but firm. You steal from me, you're banned for life, no exceptions. That was my rule until the day I caught a 12-year-old boy shoving packages of bread and peanut butter into his backpack. And something about the way his hands trembled made me remember a version of myself I'd spent decades trying to forget. What happened next changed both of our lives in ways I never could have imagined, and taught me that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is break your own rules. It was a Tuesday afternoon in late September, the kind of day where the heat finally breaks and you remember why you love this neighborhood despite everything. I was restocking the cereal aisle when I noticed him on the security monitor, a skinny kid with a backpack way too big for his frame, moving through the aisles with the kind of deliberate casualness that every store owner recognizes instantly. He wasn't browsing, he was hunting. I watched him on the monitor as he glanced around, checking for other customers, checking for me. His movements were practiced but nervous. This wasn't his first time, but he wasn't comfortable with it either. Something about that hesitation caught my attention. Most shoplifters I dealt with were either brazen or desperate. This kid seemed both and neither at the same time. He stopped in the bread aisle. His hand reached out, pulled back, reached out again. Even through the grainy security footage, I could see his internal struggle. Then his shoulders dropped in what looked like defeat or resignation. I couldn't tell which, and he grabbed 2 loaves of the cheapest white bread we sold, the kind that costs 99 cents and tastes like cardboard. Next came the peanut butter, not the good organic stuff, not even the name brand. He grabbed the store brand, the jar that cost $2.40. He opened his backpack and carefully placed the items inside, arranging them like they were precious cargo. Then he grabbed a gallon of milk from the refrigerated section. That's when I started moving toward him. The milk gave me pause though. Shoplifters usually go for expensive items they can resell: electronics, liquor, cigarettes. This kid was stealing basics. Food, the kind of food you eat when you don't have anything else. I came around the corner just as he was zipping up his backpack. He froze when he saw me, his brown eyes going wide. For a moment we just stared at each other. That's when I saw it, not defiance, not anger, not even fear really. It was something else. Something that hit me right in the chest. Hunger, pure, desperate, bone-deep hunger. Not the I skipped lunch kind, the kind that keeps you up at night, the kind that makes you do things you never thought you'd do. I knew that look because I'd worn it once a long time ago when I was not much older than this boy. "What's your name, son?" I asked, my voice coming out rougher than I intended. He clutched the backpack straps, ready to bolt. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm really sorry." My hand was already reaching for my phone. 15 years of policy said I should call the authorities, document the theft, ban him from the store. That's what I'd done dozens of times before. That's what protected my business, my livelihood, my family's future. In this neighborhood, if word got out that you were soft on shoplifters, you'd be cleaned out within a month. But I couldn't make my fingers dial. "What's your name?" I asked again, gentler this time. "Daniel," he said, his voice barely audible. "Daniel Martinez." "How old are you, Daniel?" 12. His eyes were filling with tears, but he was fighting them back hard. Pride, even now, especially now. I looked at the backpack, then at him, really looked at him. His clothes were clean but worn thin, the kind of hand-me-downs that had seen better days several owners ago. His sneakers had holes near the toes that someone had tried to repair with duct tape. His hair needed cutting, and his face had that hollow look that comes from too many skipped meals. "Is this food for you?" I asked. He nodded, then shook his head, then nodded again, confused by his own answer. "For me and my sister, and my mom when she gets home." "Where's your mom now?" "Work. She works 2 jobs. She leaves at 6 in the morning and gets home after 10 most nights, sometimes later." The words tumbled out like he needed me to understand, needed me to know they weren't bad people, just struggling people. I felt my resolve crumbling. "And your dad?" Daniel's jaw tightened. "He left 2 years ago, haven't seen him since." There it was, a story I knew too well, playing out in front of me with a different cast but the same painful script. Single mother working herself to death, kids trying to figure out how to survive, pride battling with necessity, and necessity winning just enough to keep you alive but not enough to let you thrive. I made a decision then that broke every rule I'd set for my business. Some rules, I realized, are meant to be broken when they stand between you and your humanity. "Come with me," I said, gesturing toward the back of the store. Daniel's eyes went even wider. He thought I was taking him to call the authorities from the office. He was calculating whether to run. I could see it in his posture. "I'm not calling anyone," I said quickly. "Just come on, trust me." He followed, probably because he didn't see any other choice. When we got to the storage area in back, I opened the walk-in cooler and started pulling out items. Fresh fruit, real peanut butter, the kind with actual peanuts in it, wheat bread instead of white, milk, eggs, cheese, ground beef, rice, beans. "What are you doing?" Daniel asked, confused. "Shopping," I said, continuing to pile items into 2 paper grocery bags. "Or rather, you're shopping. You just picked the wrong items, that's all. If you're going to eat real food." Daniel stood frozen, watching me pack groceries like I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. Every business instinct I'd developed over 15 years was screaming at me that this was a mistake. You can't feed every hungry kid in the neighborhood. You'll go broke, word will spread, people will take advantage. But I kept packing. "Mr. Daniel started, not knowing my name. "Garcia, Roberto Garcia, but you can call me Mr. G, everyone does." "Mr. G, I don't understand. I tried to steal from you. You should be calling the authorities or my mom or—" "Sit down," I said, pointing to an overturned crate. He sat, still clutching that backpack like a security blanket. I pulled up another crate and sat across from him. "I'm going to tell you something I don't talk about much," I began. "When I was 14, not much older than you, my father got laid off from the factory where he'd worked for 20 years. This was back in the 90s when the manufacturing jobs were disappearing. He couldn't find work. My mother cleaned houses, but it wasn't enough for a family of 6. Daniel was listening now, his defensive posture softening slightly. "I started stealing," I continued. "Little things at first, a candy bar here, a sandwich there, then bigger things. I told myself I was helping my family, that I didn't have a choice, that survival justified everything. I got caught eventually. The owner of the store, this old Korean man named Mr. Kim, he could have pressed charges. Instead, he gave me a job." "He gave you a job?" Daniel asked, disbelief in his voice. "Sweeping floors, stocking shelves, taking out trash, minimum wage, 20 hours a week, but that wasn't the real gift. The real gift was that he saw past what I'd done to why I'd done it. He saw a kid who was desperate, not a criminal. He gave me dignity when I had none left." I stood and continued packing groceries. That job changed my life. It taught me responsibility. It gave me pride in earning my own way. But more than that, it taught me that sometimes people need a hand up, not a handout, and definitely not handcuffs. Daniel's eyes were wet now, tears finally spilling over. "I'm not a thief," he said. "I'm really not. We ran out of food yesterday and Mom won't get paid until Friday, and my little sister kept saying she was hungry and I just couldn't." "I know," I said quietly. "I know exactly how that feels, the helplessness, the shame, the anger at the world for putting you in that position." He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand, trying to hold himself together. "Mom would be so ashamed if she knew. She works so hard, she never asks for help. She always says we're going to be fine, that she's handling everything. But I see how tired she is. I see her giving us her food and pretending she already ate. I see her counting change for the bus because we can't afford gas for the car anymore." My heart broke a little more with each word. This was a child carrying adult burdens, trying to be the man of the house at 12 years old, failing in ways that weren't his fault and succeeding in ways that would damage him for years if someone didn't intervene. "How's your sister?" I asked. "How old is she?" 7, her name's Sophia. She's really smart, gets good grades. She doesn't understand why we can't do stuff other kids do anymore, why we can't go to movies or get pizza or—" his voice cracked. "Last week was her birthday. Mom tried to make it special, but we couldn't afford a cake or presents or anything. Sophia said it was okay, that she didn't need anything, but I saw her face. That did it. Whatever hesitation remained vanished completely. I finished packing the bags, then pulled out my wallet. Daniel tensed when he saw me reaching for money, his pride flickering back to life. "This isn't charity," I said before he could protest. "This is a job offer." His head snapped up. "A job?" "I need help around the store, sweeping, stocking shelves, organizing the storage room, helping elderly customers carry their groceries. 20 hours a week, $10 an hour. That's $200 a week, $800 a month. It's legal for kids your age to work with a work permit, which we'll get. You'll work after school and weekends." I could see his mind working, calculating. $800 a month would be life-changing for his family. But there are conditions, I continued. First, your grades stay up, you bring me your report card every marking period. Second, you tell your mother no secrets, she needs to know where you are and what you're doing. Third, this stays between us, the stealing, I mean. That's forgiven and forgotten, but only if you never do it again. Not here, not anywhere. Deal. Daniel stared at me like I'd just offered him the moon. Why would you do this for me? You don't even know me. Because someone did it for me, I said simply. And because I see something in you, Daniel. You're not a thief. You're a kid in a bad situation trying to take care of your family. That's not weakness, that's strength misplaced. Let me help you channel it somewhere better. He nodded slowly, then more firmly. Deal, yes, thank you, I'll work hard, I promise, I'll do whatever you need. I know you will. I handed him the 2 bags of groceries. Take these home, feed your sister. When your mom gets home tonight, you tell her everything, what you tried to do, what I'm offering, all of it. Then tomorrow after school, you come back here and we'll fill out the paperwork. Bring her with you if she wants to meet me first. Daniel took the bags, his thin arms straining slightly under the weight. Mr. G, what if she says no? What if she's too proud or angry or... Then you tell her that Roberto Garcia knew her pain because he lived it and he's not offering charity, he's offering opportunity. Tell her I need good workers and I think her son could be one of them. Tell her sometimes accepting help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. He nodded, blinking back fresh tears. I'll tell her, and Mr. G, thank you, really thank you. After he left, I stood in the empty store, wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my business career or the best decision of my life. My accountant was going to have questions about hearing a 12-year-old. My wife would worry about liability. My practical side said I should have handled this differently, called social services, done something by the book. But the part of me that remembered being 14 and desperate, the part that remembered Mr. Kim's kind eyes and firm handshake, that part knew I'd done the right thing. Sometimes the right thing is also the risky thing. Sometimes kindness requires breaking your own rules. The next day, I spent the afternoon anxious, watching the clock. School let out at 3. Would Daniel show up? Would his mother be angry? Would she think I had ulterior motives? In today's world, you couldn't be too careful, and a middle-aged man offering jobs to children could be misunderstood in the worst possible way. At 3:45, the bell above the door chimed. Daniel walked in, freshly showered, wearing what were probably his best clothes, still worn but clean and carefully pressed. Behind him came a woman who couldn't have been older than 35 but looked 50, worn down by life and work and worry. She had Daniel's eyes, though brown and proud, even in exhaustion. And holding her hand was a little girl with pigtails and a gap-toothed smile, looking around my store with wonder like it was Disneyland. Mr. Garcia, the woman said, her accent thick but her English clear. I am Maria Martinez, this is my daughter Sophia. Daniel told me about yesterday, about what he tried to do, about what you offered. Her voice broke slightly on the last word, shame and gratitude fighting for dominance in her tone. Mrs. Martinez, I said, coming around the counter, thank you for coming, please let's sit down and talk. I pulled out stools near the register and offered them seats. Sophia immediately gravitated toward the candy display, her eyes huge, but she didn't ask for anything, just looked. First, Maria said, her back straight despite her exhaustion, I want to apologize for my son. We are not thieves, Mr. Garcia. I work hard, I provide for my children. Her voice caught. I didn't know he was so hungry that he felt he had to. Mrs. Martinez, I interrupted gently, your son isn't a thief. He's a 12-year-old child who saw his family struggling and tried to help in the only way he knew how. That doesn't make him bad, it makes him human. She blinked rapidly, fighting tears. Daniel says you offered him a job, that you want to pay him to work here. Mr. Garcia, I appreciate your kindness, but I need to understand why. Why would you help us? What do you want? The question was fair, necessary even, a mother protecting her children. 25 years ago, I was in Daniel's position, I said. Different circumstances, same desperation. A store owner gave me a chance when he could have had me arrested. That chance changed my life. I want to pay that forward, that's all. But Daniel is 12. He should be doing homework and playing sports, not working. He'll do both, I said. The job is conditional on his grades staying up, and I'll work around his school schedule. This isn't about making him grow up too fast. It's about giving him skills, responsibility, and a way to help his family that doesn't involve breaking the law. Maria looked at Daniel, who was watching her anxiously. Then she looked at Sophia, who had abandoned the candy display and was now examining the fruit, touching an apple gently like it was precious. What would he do? Maria asked finally. What would be his work? Stocking shelves, sweeping, taking out trash, organizing the storage room, helping customers carry groceries to their cars. Basic store operations. I'll train him properly. $10 an hour, 20 hours a week. Maria did the math quickly. $800 a month. Her eyes closed briefly and I saw the war happening behind them. Pride versus need, dignity versus survival, independence versus accepting help. I will work too, she said suddenly. You give my son this job, I work for you also. Extra hours, cleaning, stocking, whatever you need. You should not carry this burden alone. Mrs. Martinez. No, she said firmly. My son works, I work too. We take care of ourselves, we pay our own way. That is how I raised my children. I understood then, this wasn't just about money. It was about maintaining her dignity, her sense of worth, her ability to look her children in the eyes and say they earned their way. All right, I agreed. I do need someone to come in early mornings before the store opens to receive deliveries and do prep work. 6 to 9, 3 days a week, $15 an hour. Does that work with your schedule? She calculated quickly. Yes, I can do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. My first job starts at 9:30. We shook hands, her grip firm despite her exhaustion. Sophia tugged on my sleeve. Mr. Garcia, is my brother going to work here for real? For real, I confirmed. She beamed. That's good because Daniel is really good at organizing things. He organizes all our stuff at home, and he's really nice to old people. Mrs. Chen next door says he's the nicest boy on the whole street. Sophia, Maria said, embarrassed. But I laughed. That's good to know. Being nice to people is actually the most important part of the job. The first few weeks were rocky. Daniel had enthusiasm but no experience. He broke a jar of pickles his first day. He accidentally stocked the soup cans upside down. He forgot to lock the storage room twice, but he showed up every day on time, worked hard, and learned fast. More importantly, he started changing. The hollow look in his eyes began to fade. He gained weight, not much, but enough that his clothes didn't hang quite so loosely. He smiled more. He started talking about school, about teachers he liked, about friends he'd been too stressed to appreciate before. Maria kept her end of the bargain too. She arrived at 6 sharp on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings, ready to work. She was efficient, thorough, and asked smart questions about inventory management and vendor relationships. Within a month, she'd reorganized my entire storage system and cut my spoilage by 30%. You have a good business mind, I told her one Saturday morning. She shrugged, embarrassed. In Mexico, I was studying accounting before I came here, but here, my credentials don't transfer and I don't have time or money for more school. An idea started forming in my mind, but I pushed it aside for later. Sophia became the store mascot. She'd come by after school sometimes when Maria was working, and she'd sit in the corner doing homework, occasionally helping elderly customers reach high shelves or finding items for them. People loved her. Sales actually went up on the days she was there because customers would come in just to see that sweet little girl who's so helpful. Other changes happened too, ones I hadn't anticipated. Word spread in the neighborhood about Daniel. Not that he tried to steal, I kept that promise, but that I'd hired a local kid and he was doing great work. Other struggling families started coming in, not asking for handouts, but asking if I needed help if I had positions available. I couldn't hire everyone. I was already stretching my budget hearing Daniel and Maria, but I started a community board in the store where people could post job openings and job requests. It became a hub for the neighborhood, a place where people connected and helped each other. The local school principal heard about Daniel's story somehow and called me. Whatever you're doing with that boy, keep doing it, she said. His grades have gone from CS and DS to AS and BS. His teachers say he's more engaged, more confident. His counselor says he's been talking about going to college, about studying business. 6 months ago, that kid was heading down a bad path. You turned him around. I didn't turn him around, I just gave him an opportunity to turn himself around. There's a difference. One evening, about 3 months after Daniel started, I was closing up when he approached me, nervous. Mr. G, can I ask you something? Sure, kid, what's up? Why did you really hire me? And don't say it's because someone did it for you. there's more to it, isn't there? Smart kid, too smart for me to lie to. You want the real truth? I asked. Yes, sir. I put down the broom I'd been using and sat on the counter. When I saw you stealing that day, I saw myself, but I also saw my son. Daniel looked confused. Your son? I had a son, I said quietly. Miguel, he would have been 27 now. When he was 15, we were going through hard times. I was trying to start this store and money was tight. Miguel wanted to help. He got involved with some older kids, started doing things he shouldn't, stealing, selling substances, running money for dangerous people. I tried to stop him, but I was too focused on saving the business to see how desperate he was to save the family. My throat tightened. This story never got easier to tell. He got caught up in something bad when he was 16. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong people. He got taken from us just like that. And all I could think was, if someone had stepped in earlier, if someone had given him a better option, a legitimate way to help, maybe things would have been different. Daniel's eyes were wide. Mr. G, I'm so sorry. So when I saw you stealing bread and peanut butter, I didn't just see a thief. I saw a second chance. A chance to do for you what I wish someone had done for Miguel. That's the real truth. There was a long silence. Then Daniel said, I won't let you down. I promise I'll make you proud. You already have, kid, you already have. 6 months after I hired Daniel, I opened a second register and hired a part-time cashier, Maria. I promoted her from early morning prep work to daytime operations manager. She was overqualified for what I could pay her, but she accepted gratefully. It meant she could quit one of her other jobs and actually see her children before bedtime. Daniel had become indispensable. He knew the inventory as well as I did. He had a rapport with customers that I envied. And he'd started showing real business acumen, suggesting changes to the store layout that improved traffic flow and making observations about which products sold well together. You ever think about business school? I asked him one day. He was 14 now, taller, more confident, filling out properly thanks to regular meals. Sometimes, he admitted, but college is expensive and mom needs help and Sophia's going to need support for her education too. One thing at a time, I interrupted. Right now, focus on high school, keep those grades up, keep learning everything you can hear, the future will sort itself out. But I was already planning. I'd started a small college fund for him, nothing huge but something to get him started. He didn't need to know about it yet. The real turning point came when Mrs. Chen, the elderly woman from Daniel's building, had a fall and broke her hip. She lived alone, and there was no one to help her when she got home from the hospital. Daniel went to visit her in the hospital, then came to me with an idea. Mr. G, what if we started a program, like people in the neighborhood who need help, elderly folks, disabled people, single parents, what if we helped them? We could deliver groceries, help with yard work, small repairs, whatever. We could organize volunteers. That's a big undertaking, I said. Who would run it? I would, he said confidently. With your permission, I mean, I could coordinate volunteers, schedule deliveries, match people who need help with people who can help. I've been thinking about it a lot. I looked at this kid who'd tried to steal bread 18 months ago and now wanted to organize community service. All right, I said, let's try it, small scale at first, see what happens. Within 3 months, Garcia's Community Care had 50 volunteers and was helping 30 families in the neighborhood. Daniel managed it all with a maturity that amazed me. He created schedules, vetted volunteers, checked in on clients, and solved problems with creativity and compassion. The local news picked up on it. They did a story about the teen entrepreneur organizing community support, which brought in more volunteers and more people needing help. Daniel handled the attention with humility, always deflecting credit to the volunteers and to me. This was Mr. Garcia's idea, he'd say, which wasn't true but was kind. One day, a man in an expensive suit walked into the store. He introduced himself as James Chen, Mrs. Chen's son from California. I came to thank you, he said, for what you've done for my mother and for this whole neighborhood. Your program quite literally saved her life. She was so depressed after her fall, but now she talks about Daniel's visits and the volunteers who help her, and she has purpose again. Thank Daniel, I said, it's his program. I plan to, James said, but I also want to thank you for seeing potential in a kid who was probably invisible to most people. My mother told me about his background, what you did for his family. That took courage. He handed me a business card. I run a foundation that funds community programs. I'd like to discuss a grant to expand what you're doing here, make it sustainable, hire staff, serve more people. Are you interested? I stared at the card, then at Daniel, who was helping an elderly customer load groceries into a cart, laughing at something she'd said. Yeah, I said, I'm interested. 2 years after I caught Daniel stealing bread, Garcia's community care had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. With the foundation's support, we'd hired 3 part-time staff members, established partnerships with local organizations, and were serving over 200 families. Daniel, now 16, was the program director, a paid position that gave him real job experience and looked impressive on college applications. Maria had become my business partner. I'd helped her get her accounting credentials recognized and enrolled her in a certification program. She now handled all the financial operations for both the store and the community program. She'd moved the family to a better apartment and was saving money for the first time in years. Sophia, at 9, volunteered with the program every weekend, organizing donation drives at her school and recruiting her classmates to help. She'd become a natural leader, confident and compassionate in equal measure. The store itself had tripled its business. Turns out that when you invest in your community invests back in you. People came from across the city to shop at that store that helps people, and they spent more, tipped better, and spread the word. But the moment that mattered most happened on a cold Tuesday in November. I was stocking shelves when Daniel approached me looking nervous. He was holding an envelope. Mr. G, can we talk? We went to the back room, our usual spot for serious conversations. He handed me the envelope. It's my acceptance letter, he said. Full scholarship to State University's business program. They said my application was the strongest they'd seen, the work with community care, my grades, the recommendation letters you and the foundation director wrote. I felt tears pricking my eyes. Daniel, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done any of this without you, he said, his own voice thick with emotion. You saved my life, Mr. G, you really did. That day I tried to steal those groceries, I was so ashamed, so desperate, so convinced that I was just going to be another statistic, another kid who didn't make it. You saw something in me I couldn't see in myself. I saw a good kid in a bad situation who needed a hand up, I said. That's all, you did the rest. There's something else, Daniel said, pulling out his phone. I got a call yesterday from a guy who saw the news story about community care. His name is Kevin Park. He runs a chain of grocery stores across the state. He wants to implement our model in his stores. He's offering me an internship for next summer paid with housing to help him set it up. My heart swelled. That's an amazing opportunity. I told him I needed to talk to you first. See if you're okay with me sharing what we built. It's your model, your idea, It's our model, I interrupted. And it's everybody's idea, every volunteer, every person we helped who then helped someone else, every community member who believed in what we were doing. This is bigger than you or me, Daniel. It's about showing people that kindness creates more kindness, that helping one person creates a ripple effect that can change an entire community. Daniel smiled, that gap-toothed smile he'd had when I first met him now replaced with straight teeth thanks to the dental program Maria's insurance at the store provided. So I can tell him yes? You tell him absolutely yes, and you know what? I bet Kevin Park was that kid once too, the one who needed help, and now he's paying it forward by giving you this opportunity. That's how it works, that's how it's supposed to work. We hugged then, this kid who'd tried to steal from me and who'd become like the son I'd lost, the son I'd saved by saving myself. Later that night after closing, I stood in the empty store and thought about the journey. From catching a desperate kid stealing bread to watching him accept a university scholarship and a career-launching internship. From running a struggling corner store to managing a community program that was changing lives. From carrying the guilt of my son's loss to finding purpose in preventing other sons from being lost. Mr. Kim, the store owner who'd given me a chance all those years ago, had passed away a decade earlier. But I'd gone to his funeral and I'd told his family what their father had meant to me. How his kindness had changed the trajectory of my entire life. Now I was Mr. Kim for Daniel, and Daniel would be Mr. Kim for someone else, and that someone would be Mr. Kim for another. An infinite chain of kindness, each link saving a life, changing a future, creating hope where there'd been despair. My phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Just told Mom about the acceptance letter. She's crying happy tears. Thank you for everything, Mr. G, for seeing me when I was invisible, for believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself, for teaching me that one person's kindness can change the world." I typed back, "You changed my world too, kid, more than you know. Proud of you, always have been, always will be." I locked up the store and walked to my car, passing the spot where Daniel used to sit when I thought he was just another hungry kid making bad choices. He'd been so much more than that. We all are. We're all so much more than our worst moments, our biggest mistakes, our darkest days. Sometimes all it takes is one person who's willing to look past the surface and see the potential underneath. One person who's willing to break their own rules to follow a higher law, the law of compassion, of human connection, of recognizing that we're all one bad break away from needing help and one good break away from being able to give it. I thought I was running a grocery store. Turns out I was running a revolution. A quiet one maybe, a small one, but a revolution nonetheless. And it all started with a hungry kid stealing bread and a store owner who remembered what hunger felt like. If you told me 5 years ago that catching a shoplifter would become the defining moment of my career and the most meaningful relationship of my life, I would have laughed. But that's exactly what happened. The lesson here isn't just about helping people, though that matters. It's about seeing people, really seeing them, looking past the surface, past the mistakes, past the circumstances, and recognizing the humanity underneath. It's about understanding that people aren't defined by their worst moments but by what they do with their second chances. Daniel wasn't a thief. He was a child in crisis trying to solve an adult problem with limited tools and desperate courage. What he needed wasn't punishment, it was opportunity. What his family needed wasn't judgment, it was support. What our community needed wasn't another business extracting wealth, it was a hub that invested in people. The ripple effect of kindness is real. When you help one person, you create a cascade of positive change that extends far beyond that individual. Daniel helped his family. His family became stable enough to help others. The community program we created has now helped hundreds of families. Those families are helping others. The model is spreading to other stores, other communities, other cities. All because I chose to see a scared kid instead of a criminal. All because I remembered being that scared kid once. All because someone had seen me when I was invisible. Here's what I've learned. We all have the power to be someone's turning point. We all have the ability to look at a person's worst moment and choose to invest in their potential rather than judge their past. We all can create chains of kindness that extend far beyond our own lives. The question isn't whether people deserve second chances. The question is whether we're brave enough to give them, wise enough to recognize when they're needed, and humble enough to remember that we've all needed them ourselves. Every person you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Every harsh word or judgment could be the thing that breaks someone who's barely holding on. And every act of kindness, no matter how small, could be the thing that saves them. I didn't save Daniel, I gave him the space and support to save himself. That's all anyone ever needs, not rescuing, not fixing, just someone who believes in them when they can't believe in themselves. Someone who sees their potential when they can only see their problems. Someone who offers a hand up instead of a handout, an opportunity instead of charity, partnership instead of pity. That's what Mr. Kim gave me. That's what I gave Daniel. That's what Daniel is now giving to others through community care and will continue giving throughout his career and life. This isn't a story about a generous store owner. It's a story about recognizing that we're all connected, that your success creates space for mine, that lifting others actually elevates everyone, including yourself. The bread Daniel tried to steal that day cost 99 cents. The investment I made in him changed my business, my community, and my understanding of what really matters. Best 99 cents I never charged. If there's one thing I want you to take from this story, it's this. You never know when you'll be someone's turning point. You never know when your choice to show kindness instead of judgment will alter the entire trajectory of a life. And you never know when the person you help today will become the person helping someone else tomorrow, creating an infinite chain of positive change. Be someone's Mr. Kim, be someone's Roberto Garcia, see the invisible people, offer second chances, believe in potential over circumstances, choose compassion over convenience. Because sometimes the kid stealing bread from your store isn't a problem to solve. He's an opportunity to prove that kindness isn't weakness, it's the strongest force in the world.